Hello, everybody. Wow, what a beautiful crowd. Good to see so many friendly faces in the crowd. I know we have had a packed afternoon, and I also know that I am all that's standing in the way of the Dentsu Beach Party, which is also going to be pretty legendary. And after witnessing so much kind of that intersection of entertainment, culture, media really sits at the center of that. And when we think about the center of media, we also think about the center of influence, and really how it is the modern kind of like infrastructure for growth. And there's no one that really models this, I think, better than our next guest, Paris Hilton, who has done the work of transforming brand, profit, people, purpose into a flywheel, which we're going to have a brilliant conversation about. But before I bring her out, we're just going to take 2 minutes to introduce ourselves to the world of 1111 Media. Thank you.
Paris Hilton is a multifaceted icon, a pop culture legend who transformed her fame into global influence. As the CEO of 1111 Media, the largest female-owned media company in the world, she's built a powerhouse spanning entertainment, tech, fashion, and beyond. But more than anything, she's a visionary. Her advocacy has helped drive national legislation, proving she's not just creating culture, she's changing systems.
I'm here for the Stop Institutional Child Abuse Act.
Today I stand before you not just as Paris Hilton, but as a survivor and an advocate for the silent voices waiting to be heard.
I know from personal experience the harm that is caused by being placed in youth residential treatment facilities.
Thanks for being here. Okay, we'll try to help you in any way we can.
Paris Hilton is proof that you can be the brand and the boss.
They don't really care what they think they know. They only see all the glitter and gold. Everybody leaves when the curtains close. But it's me and you at the end of the show. In the car, on the beach, in your arms, all I need. I know they'll remember me for the glamour and fantasy. They know in reality that loving you is my legacy. Your touch is a guarantee. Your kiss is my destiny. Tonight we'll make history, 'cause loving you is my legacy.
Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between, please welcome Paris Hilton.
Hi, everybody. Hello. Thank you. It's hot here.
It's very hot, very hot. Not to use a familiar catchphrase too soon. Very hot, very hot. Paris, I know also earlier this afternoon you were interviewed by another Brit, Louis Theroux, over on the Spotify stage. So, Cannes, how are you finding it so far?
I love Cannes. I've been coming here since I was 2 years old, and it is one of my favorite places. And now I'm here with my husband and our daughter and son, who are 1 and 2. So carrying on the family tradition, and it's just special to be here. And I love it, especially during Cannes Lion.
And what is it about Cannes Lion that really keeps you coming back, would you say?
I love the energy. I love all of the brilliant people that I meet. I love to optimize my time, so I love that I could be so productive and have meetings with all of my favorite brands and CMOs within one day. So it's kind of like putting a month's worth of traveling around to do meetings into a few days.
Nice. I know some of our execs say they have a busy schedule while they're here, but as we work on this, got an insight into your schedule, and I've got to say I take my hat off to you. How you do it, I'm not quite sure. But we're super happy to have you here, and I think it's going to be a super interesting conversation today. And I think one really interesting piece was, as we were behind the scenes getting ready to build this session, the original title of this session was going to be called Congress, Children, and Commerce, because that's literally a snapshot of your working day. So what keeps you leaning into kind of every area of modern culture, all the way from Capitol Hill to Roblox?
Well, I'm so proud of all the amazing work that I've been doing on Capitol Hill and really turning my pain into a purpose to protect children. And then I'm in Roblox because I've loved the metaverse before there was even a word for it. And we've created this incredible place called Sliving Land inside of there. So it's a place where I can connect with my fans and also work with different brands, and I'm just always everywhere.
Always everywhere. I think that's a good motto to live by. And we have our party kicking off next in like 30 minutes. And in your memoir that was released recently, you wrote the line, "Know your worth, the party is lucky to have you," which I think is a great line. You should all like check it out. But was there a moment, or what was the moment where I think you realized you weren't just carrying a family legacy, but you were building your own global brand?
Well, ever since I was a little girl, I always really looked up to my grandfather as my business mentor, and I always wanted to make him proud. But I also didn't want to be known as just the Hilton Hotel granddaughter. I wanted to be known as Paris. So as a teenager, I started just thinking of ideas of what I wanted to do and what I wanted to create and who I wanted to be so I could just become Paris. And I've done that, so I'm very proud.
I think you have. There's no doubt about it. And obviously, we see behind us your 1111 Media logo, which was launched in 2021 and is already reportedly valued for $1 billion and, which is credible, is the most profitable female-owned media business, which I think in 4 years
Thank you.
is really no mean feat.
Thank you.
And so I think your flywheel that moves everything from podcasts to perfumes to performance, but with so many lanes that you could have gone down and so many things and doors open to you, why a media company?
I just felt that with my businesses and everything that I do, I'm involved in so many different mediums, from music to television to film to podcasting to building products, to my music, to my impact work, to building brands, and just so much that I wanted to bring all of those under one umbrella and just create this media company with the most brilliant people for every different area of my business, and just being able to create my dreams and have them come to life with my amazing team. And I love my team so much, and I'm so proud of them and me and what we've created together. And I just feel like with them, the sky is the limit and anything is possible. And it's really incredible just what we've been doing in this business.
It absolutely has. And I think the growth that you've seen in 4 years is a testament to that. And also, I think, why 1111 Media? Why 1111? Why is that number so special to you?
I really believe in angel numbers, and 1111, every time I would see it, I always say 1111, make a wish. So it's something that's really special to me. I got married on 1111. My daughter London's birthday is on 1111.
Did you plan that, or?
Yeah. Yeah, I was very on brand, so yeah. So I just feel like they're just lucky numbers, and I just feel like my brand is all about making dreams come true, so it fits very well together.
It does, it works. And this is not a fabrication. Today, while I was getting ready, running along the Crozet, and I knew I was talking to Paris later, I did look down at my watch while I was in between something, and it was 11:11, and I took that as a good sign. So that happened earlier today. So as we see, the title of this also revolves around purpose. And I think it's really interesting, I think, where you've put purpose in your story. And I think, again, we saw you in Congress, in the halls of Congress. And I think really powerfully, you opened your congressional testimony with the words, "My name is Paris Hilton, and I'm a survivor." And I think in this time that we find ourselves, when we think about the rise of mental health, the importance of advocacy, I also want to say, I know the courage that it takes to put your story out and to share that with the world. So what kind of drove you to move into this space and think about moving to the halls of Congress?
As a little girl, and what I went through, it was extremely traumatizing. And I wanted to do something where I could use my voice to be the voice for those who don't have a voice, and to let people know what was happening to these children inside of these schools. And it's been the most meaningful work of my life. I could never have imagined that I would be on Capitol Hill and passing my federal bill, and now I've changed 14 state laws to protect children. So it really just shows the power in telling your truth. Thank you. I've done a lot of things in my life that I'm proud of, but I hope that I'm remembered for this because this is my life's work, and I feel that everything in life happens for a reason, and I am just going to keep fighting because these kids need to be protected.
They do. And I think it's always so powerful when you think about the long-lasting legacy that those bills will have, the reaching that you'll never even see. I think that is going to be part of the Paris story. And so when we think about that advocacy, and we think about 1111 Media, does your advocacy shape the deals you accept and also reject today with you and your team?
Definitely. My advocacy and my impact work is so important to me. When Bruce Gersh, she's sitting over there, is the president of the company with me. Our first hire was Rebecca. She is my head of impact, and we have done so much incredible work together. She's just an amazing person, and it's just really changed my life in so many ways to be able to take something that was so painful and make a difference in other children's lives so I could be the hero that I needed when I was a little girl.
No, this is beautiful, beautiful. I always say you can't be what you can't see. And I think sometimes, again, when you think about the stories that you share and the people that you'll touch and the lives that you'll change, I think that's really the center of what it is.
Yeah, and also being vulnerable and making others feel comfortable to also open up and be vulnerable. I think it has a chain reaction. And yeah, it's just been really amazing just connecting with so many other survivors and just seeing how much this work has impacted them.
It absolutely does. And so, also in that light, I think it's really fascinating that your company funnels a share of its profits straight into impact work. So what encouraged you to design a model for your company where purpose is actually a growth engine and a growth driver and not just seen as a cost center?
There's purpose behind everything that we do at 1111, and just bringing that sparkle and shining a light on causes that are important to me, and just helping to make the world a better place. That's something that is incredibly important to me.
And I think all of us here this week could maybe use the world being a better place these days as well. So I think every action does change. And so now when we think about moving into fandom, and I think the base and the audiences, we recently put out our Consumer Navigator piece of research that shows 58% of people that are active in their online communities are there every single day. And I think when we think about third spaces, used to be coffee shops, used to be gymnasiums or community centers, third places have really now moved from coffee shops into comment threads and into social. So do you think that the brands that you work with and the marketers that you work with underestimate the profit of this kind of creator-driven economy, or do you think brands are catching up to it?
I think they're catching up to it. If they're paying attention to what's happening in the world. When you're seeing someone like me and what I've created, like Selena Gomez, what she's created with Rare, Mr. Beast, there's so many creator brands because I think we have just that direct connection with the audience. So I think it's very powerful, and it's amazing how anyone with a talent or something that they want to create by just going on these social media platforms has, the opportunity to maybe create one of the next big brands. So I think it's a very exciting space, and for this generation to really harness all that technology and utilize it.
It is. And I think when you're talking about brands, when you think about the 1111 flywheel, do you see big brands like Fortune 100 brands potentially becoming part of that flywheel?
Yeah, definitely. For sure.
Good to know. Some of them may be in this room right now. Who knows?
Probably.
And you also said that every single product of yours is intentional. And I don't want to use the word perfectionism, but I think there is an element of that there. And also I think this was part of you scaling your Little Hiltons community. And when we think about audiences and the power of fandoms, could you tell the room a little bit more about the Little Hiltons? And then what keeps them coming back and how do you keep them engaged?
My Little Hiltons are what my fans call themselves, and they've been with me since The Simple Life, so for the past 2 decades, and meeting more Little Hiltons all the time, all around the world. And they connect with me because we have a real, true connection. I'll invite them to come, even in Ibiza, this one time I was on Twitter, this is years ago, and I saw that one of my fans had written and said, I've been working 3 jobs just to afford to go to Ibiza to watch Paris DJ, but I didn't have enough money to stay at a hotel, so I'm just going to sleep on the airport bench. And I saw that, and I started crying. I felt so sad, and I just DM'd him. I said, when you come, you can come stay with me at my villa. And he did, and it was the best experience of his life. So I always do special things like that for my fans, where they feel like they're my little brothers and sisters. And we have a real relationship where we connect on a really deep level through my music and through my documentary, through my memoir, my book, and just traveling around the world. I used to, for 2 decades, be on a plane over 250 days out of the year, constantly traveling. So I've been to all over, everywhere in the world, and have created fan bases in every country. So it's amazing to have that real, authentic relationship with my fans.
And I think that shows. And I know that also recently, I think there was one of your fans who had a car, and the car got burnt in one of the wildfires. Could you tell the team a little bit more about that too?
Yes, there was this video on TikTok of this girl, and she was standing in front of her car that had just burned in a fire, and she was holding my pink cup. It's like a cup that I sell at Walmart. And she said, my car burnt down, but the only thing that survived was your Paris tumbler cup. And she's like, can you buy me a new car? And then it went viral, had like tens of millions of views. And then I flew and surprised her in Dallas with a new car. And it was such a special moment, something that I'll never forget.
Nice. And so I think when you think about that authenticity, and you think about the brands in the room here as well, if you could give one piece of advice to these brands who are really trying to connect on a personal level and that kind of a long-lasting level that you've built, what would a piece of advice be to the brands in the room today?
My advice is to be authentic, because the consumer can see through everything. To do things that lead back to impact, where you can help make a difference in someone's life or business. And partner with me, and I'll make it iconic.
Now that's how you do a plug. That's great. We could all learn a little bit of things there. But again, actually, interesting that you talk about integrity as well, I think, in that kind of authenticity space as well. And recently, your Trapped in Treatment podcast didn't just trend, it also helped spark legislation. And so I think when you think about purpose again, what do you feel are the pieces, ingredients in a piece of content, in brands, that can help turn kind of catalyst into actual policy change?
What was the... Sorry.
Sure. No, of course. So when you're thinking about content that you're producing or brands that you're working, you've actually seen it kind of drive change. And so what part of kind of the content creation kind of cycle do you think is important to drive impact and to drive that change?
Yeah, I saw that with my podcast, Trapped in Treatment, just giving a platform as well for people who don't have that platform, and sharing stories that might have been swept under the rug, and things that are meaningful. Just like the podcast that I just produced called My Friend Daisy, about this girl who was murdered, and the police couldn't find who did it. And then her friends went on TikTok, and they all became detectives, and they found out who it was and solved the case. And we did a whole series on that, which raised so much awareness. And her mother contacted my team and said, thank you so much for telling my daughter's story. I was scared that she would just be forgotten. And all of her friends, everyone was so touched by it. So I think it's important where you could really highlight things that have happened in the world and get people justice.
I think that's a real kind of, again, testament to your spirit. Do you know what I mean? Because I think there's a million things you could be doing, but to see you lean into that is really powerful. And so I think, actually, with that kind of power, and I think that kind of influence that a lot of the brands and tech companies that we see here this month, a recent piece of our research out of the attention economy showed that ads holding kind of like attention for 2.5 sales are driving 2.8 more sales. So the attention that you hold drives more impact. Do you think there's a responsibility that comes with kind of the attention that advertisers, brands, and platforms have today?
Just they need to keep in mind that every second matters, and especially to, make it through or have someone pay attention when there's so much noise, is something that they should really think about, and who they partner with, and creating things that maybe just are fun, or just, I don't know, things that go viral that are entertaining.
Exactly. I think joy is really important in some of these choices as well. And I think when you think about choices that we make in the platforms that are out there now, we are firmly what we're calling at Dentsu inside the algorithmic era. We think about platforms, how they're driven by algorithms and what they drive. But that also means in terms of media, picking platforms. So picking spaces to show up in, picking spaces for your brand to be in. Are there red flags or green flags that matter to you before you put the sliving seal onto new platforms?
I love when I see platforms that really are supporting the creators and empowering them. And then the red flags are when they don't really, I don't know, when I just see like a lot of bullying or things like that are being allowed like that, or spreading messages that shouldn't be on there. So I think just things that would align with my values and things that will help support the creators that are part of the platform is important.
Nice. And actually, just a on-the-fly question, if that's okay. When you are scrolling your own feeds and your own platforms as well, what breaks Paris Hilton's attention? What captures your attention when you're scrolling?
Things that are sparkly and fun, things that can make me laugh, things that maybe make me think more into it, or just things that are creative in a fun way that's innovative and new. And I've always been someone who loves to do things first, so I love when you see things that you've never seen before too.
Which I imagine is rare, though. But I imagine you're always inspired by the newness that you see on these platforms. So also recently, when we think about, again, the algorithmic era that we do find in ourselves in, how do you think about the brands that you partner with to make sure that the content you are creating, I think, again, aligns with your own values? Is there something that you kind of prioritize in that space?
Definitely. It always has to align with my values and my company 1111's values. And that's why I love when we meet with brand partners and I'll go into the room with everyone for a couple hours and we have these creative sessions where we just have like a whiteboard and we're just drawing of all of our different ideas and ideating together and being creative, because that's one of my favorite parts about this. I love making the mood boards, like what the theme is going to be, like what's the vibe, and what I can do to make it iconic, because I can make anything iconic, which I've proved so far.
You have proved it so far. I don't think you become the world's most profitable female-led media agency in the world by accident. So, absolutely. So I know we've got just a couple minutes left. But I think, Paris, what's really interesting, I think, in the scope of the conversation that we've just had, is that you cover so many areas of our industry, and I think entertainment and media and culture. But also, how do you make sure that amidst this moment that you find yourselves in, you also hold space for your own truth when the world maybe has had a different version of you for so long? Where do you kind of find that strength from to show up?
I just feel really proud of everything I've been through in my life. I'm so strong, and especially at the beginning of my career, I was definitely judged and misunderstood and underestimated. But I've proved all the haters wrong. And I just feel just more empowered than ever. And I feel that anything is possible.
It is. Proving the haters wrong is always a good motivation factor, I will say. So I want to close up with just two final quick questions for you, okay? So here we have a room full of kind of the biggest kind of marketers and brands in the world. If there was a single piece of advice you could give to marketers today, could plaster it on the billboards in Times Square and Shanghai and Leicester Square, what would be the piece of advice you'd give to the marketers in the room today?
I would say, keeps living.
Nice, nice. Use the brand. The brand is
That's
strong.
hot. Loves it.
Got it, got it. That's why it's iconic. That's why it's iconic. And to close us out, imagine it's 2050. It's not that far away, but it's 25 years away. What headline and what legacy do you really want to describe Paris Hilton, both the person, the brand, and the enterprise?
Say, Paris Hilton, from pop culture icon to force of good.
Nice, that's beautiful. What a beautiful way to close it out. And I think that force of good nature we can also take with us today into the week. So Paris, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone in between, please help me welcome and say goodbye and thank you to Paris Hilton.
Thank you.
Thank you, yeah. We're going to take a quick photo, but then stick around because the party's going to kick off in 1 second.